General officers, what's one thing enlisted troops get completely wrong about leadership? I'm a retired 2-star general, spent 32 years in the army, and the biggest thing enlisted troops misunderstand is this. They think leadership means never admitting you're wrong. Let me tell you about the moment I learned otherwise. I was a captain back then, commanding a company in Germany, fresh from ranger school. Thought I knew everything about leading soldiers. My platoon sergeant was this guy named Curtis Brennan, 20-year veteran, tough as nails. Everyone respected him. We had this big field training exercise coming up, 2 weeks in the forest practicing combat maneuvers. I spent months planning every detail, drew up complex tactical plans, scheduled everything down to the minute. My plan was ambitious. We'd move through difficult terrain, establish multiple defensive positions, coordinate with other units, the kind of operation that would make my career if it worked perfectly. Brennan pulled me aside 2 days before we left. Sir, I've been looking at your plan. I think we should simplify it. The terrain's rougher than you think. Weather forecast looks bad. We're gonna have issues. I brushed him off. Sergeant, I know what I'm doing. The plan is solid. We're executing it as written. He tried again. Captain Holbrook, I've trained in those woods 6 times. Trust me on this. We need flexibility. But I was stubborn. Young officer syndrome. Thought asking for advice made me look weak. Thought changing my plan meant admitting I didn't know what I was doing. The plan stands, Sergeant. That's final. Brennan nodded slowly. Yes, sir. But I saw disappointment in his eyes. First day of the exercise was a disaster. Terrain was worse than the maps showed. Rain turned everything to mud. My detailed timeline fell apart in the first 3 hours. Troops were exhausted, struggling through swamps that weren't supposed to be there. Equipment got bogged down. Radio communications failed because we were in dead zones I hadn't accounted for. By day 2, we were 12 hours behind schedule. Other units were waiting on us. The whole exercise was backing up. My soldiers were miserable, cold, wet, angry, and they blamed me. Heard them talking when they thought I couldn't hear. Captain Holbrook doesn't know what he's doing. Thinks he's smarter than everyone. Won't listen to anyone with actual experience. Brennan kept trying to help. Sir, we could adjust the route here. Skip this checkpoint. Move faster. But I kept refusing. Kept insisting we'd stick to my original plan. Pride. Pure stupid pride. Day 3, we got completely lost. My navigation was off. We ended up 2 miles from where we were supposed to be, in thick forest with no trails. The company first sergeant, a guy named Quincy Vaughn, finally confronted me. Captain, we need to call this in. Ask for guidance. The men are done. I was standing there in the rain, looking at my soggy maps, knowing I'd screwed up everything. Knowing my carefully planned operation was a complete failure. That's when Brennan approached. Spoke quietly so only I could hear. Sir, can I tell you something my first commander told me? Being a leader doesn't mean being right all the time. It means doing what's best for your soldiers even when it hurts your ego. Something clicked. I looked at my company exhausted and frustrated. Looked at Brennan, who had been trying to help me all along. Realized I had a choice. I could keep pretending everything was fine, blame the circumstances, push through and make everyone more miserable. Or I could do something that felt terrifying. I called the company together. All 120 soldiers standing in the rain, waiting to hear what their captain would say. Listen up, I need to tell you something. This exercise has been a disaster and that's on me. Sergeant Brennan tried to warn me about the terrain. He tried to help me adjust the plan. I didn't listen because I thought it would make me look weak to change my mind. Complete silence. Some soldiers looked shocked. Officers didn't admit mistakes like this. I was wrong. I let my pride put all of you through unnecessary hardship. From this point forward, we're using Sergeant Brennan's modified route. I'm listening to the people who actually know what they're doing. Handed my map to Brennan. Sergeant, get us out of this mess. You're in charge of navigation. The look on everyone's faces was incredible. Confusion, surprise, then slowly, respect. Brennan got us back on track in 6 hours. We salvaged the rest of the exercise. Wasn't perfect, but we completed our objectives. Soldiers worked twice as hard because they saw their leadership actually cared more about mission success than looking good. After the exercise, my battalion commander called me in. Thought I was getting relieved for the disaster. Instead, he said something I never forgot. Captain Holbrook, I watched your whole company's performance. First 3 days were rough, but what you did on day 3, that's real leadership. Takes more courage to admit you're wrong than to fake confidence you don't have. That moment changed my entire career. Every promotion after that, every leadership position, I remembered that lesson. Enlisted troops often think leaders need to project invincibility, never show doubt, never admit mistakes, always have the answer. They think that's what strength looks like. But real leadership is having the guts to say, I was wrong when you were wrong. It's listening to people who know more than you. It's putting mission and soldiers above your own ego. I made general because I learned that lesson early. Brennan made sergeant major and worked with me at division level years later. We still laugh about that muddy disaster in Germany. Best leadership lesson I ever got came from being willing to look weak. Turned out that was the strongest thing I could do.